Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Synced Movies and Television with Matty and Stephen. I'm Stephen, as per usual, and to my left here is
I'm
my
Matty.
good buddy, Matty. And we just got back from catching a solid flick. Good day at the movies for us, I might say, for the both of us. I don't want to put too many words in his mouth. Of course, he'll have plenty to say. But we went and watched Beast, starring Indris Alba. Let me pull my IMDb up here real quick. Hold on. Sharlto Copley to start there. It looks like they have it here based on appearance. Also, we had two young, very good actresses, I would say. Leah Jeffries, who played Nora, and Ayanna Halley, who played Meredith, or Mare. Sharlto Copley, who you know from District 9. And a plethora of others, all native African actors, it looks like. So to start off, we're going to do our general thoughts, which is also going to encompass just kind of a non-spoiler review. So if you want to watch only just the first few minutes to get the gist of what we felt about this film and determine for yourself if you'd like to watch it, then you only got to watch that first little bit. Otherwise, after the general thoughts, we're going to get into a couple more categories that'll be a little bit more spoilery, and we'll dig a little deeper on the details of this film. But to start, general thoughts, I kind of want to go first. Is that okay?
Do it.
Hell yeah. I absolutely loved this movie. And if it wasn't for Matty's suggestion, I would not have seen it. I thought the trailer looked pretty lame. But, you know, I'm starting to learn lately that you really shouldn't judge a book by its covers. I mean, a little bit. Sometimes it's really spot on. But from the trailer, I was like, it's just going to be like a cheap kind of summer throwaway thing, really simple, looked low budget, looked like, I like Idris Alba, but at first it wasn't the most intense draw. So Matty had suggested that we watch it, and I was like, all right, hell yeah. We got the movie pass, the Regal movie pass, so went in there today and checked it out, and I gotta tell you, probably my second best time at the movies this year next to Nope. Absolutely love this movie, edge of my seat. All the characters were great. They kept it simple. The filmmaker, directed by Baltazar Kormakur. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah. I'm sure I'm not. Very good directing throughout the whole film. Characters were great. All the performances were good. We did have some CG lions, which we'll get into the effects later, but I thought looked quite good throughout the whole film. And, you know, it really takes good actors and good directing and good writing to sell a movie where your primary antagonist is going to be predominantly CG. So, I mean, I just got to say, this one, I think it's a legitimately great film. I think it knows what it is. It doesn't try and be anything more than that. It wears its influences on its sleeve, and it knocks it out of the park, man. Great filmmaking and exciting, great acting. I think I'm repeating myself, but great action, really well done. I kind of knew from like the first few minutes that it was gonna be good. Just something about it was telling me that. But it's like, it could go off the rails or get weird maybe, and I don't really know what to expect. But goddamn, what a good day at the movies. How do you feel about it, Matty?
I agree. I think it was a great day at the movies. I think people should be seeing this movie. To me, we don't get a lot of this kind of movie all the time. I think a couple years ago we got Crawl, which I thought was great. Tarantino, I think, like, loved it. And I was like, really? Like, seemed kind of bare bones, but like, I think Tarantino's just a movie watcher like we are and wants to see fun movies from time to time. We don't need to go into a movie expecting to have our minds blown necessarily or something new presented to us. Sometimes it's fun to just go watch a movie. And that's why this movie was made. I would put it up there with Crawl, Rogue, Jaws, even, like these good just man against nature movies. There's some great ones out there, and I think Beast can be added to it. Performance is great. It's nice to see Sharlto Copley again. He is, just carries the movie, and he's great in it. Yeah. And it was nice to see Sharlto just back in a film again. I feel like I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe he's been doing some TV I haven't been watching. Let us know. Sure. But yeah, I love the cast, the daughters. I thought the family dynamic was great. I felt for everyone in it, edge of your seat. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into CG and stuff later. Probably it's really good, but probably the weakest part of the movie. But it's carried by brilliant actors, so you don't even care because they make it so believable that you believe it's a real lion. So
it's good. Totally. The weakest part, I'd say, out of anything is just the title. The title was the one thing that kind of turned me off to begin with. I personally, I'm not a big fan of just these like one word, super simplistic titles. Sometimes it works for your film, other times not so much. You know, Beast could mean a whole bunch of things, but now I'm going to be saying it endlessly this year, trying to get
Yeah.
people to watch this movie if they think otherwise. But yeah, with that being said, that's kind of the non-spoilery part. If you want to check this movie out, I highly recommend it. I think Maddie
Yes.
also recommends it highly. If you haven't seen any of those other movies that Maddie mentioned as well, check out Crawl, check out Rogue. Very good
Hmm.
man versus nature stuff. If you like survival stuff, this has got it for you. And I love that kind of thing. But from here on, we'll jump into some other categories and there'll be more spoiler things. So if you don't want any spoilers, turn it off now. Go watch Beast right now. Get you that Regal pass. Pays for itself if
Yeah.
you love movies. Yeah, execution and storytelling. Again, I thought this director, Baltazar, I'm going to try and say it again. Baltazar Kormakur. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but very like words I like to use when we get a good director is sensible, nuanced,
Hmm.
focused. I don't know. Some good stuff. I think, you know, a lot of times for me, kids are super cringy in movies. You could, like, the kids can be the hardest part in a movie.
Hmm.
Perfect example of terrible kids in a movie is that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness scene when the two sons are singing the Scarlet Witch, and it's just like this phony little song about ice cream they just made up, super hokey, super cheesy. Hated it. But only addressing that in contrast to the two young girls who play Idris Elba's daughters in this film. So good. Both these girls are very good. They're very cognizant of what they need to bring to the table in order to make things believable. I feel like the director also knew how to direct these young ladies and probably from casting just saw that it factor that it was going to take to help
Hmm.
this movie go along. And also these young girls being able to stand toe to toe in some very poignant, very emotional scenes with Idris Elba. I feel like they taught him a thing or two. um, but also Idris Elba and Sharlto Copley, they came out swinging, man. They brought their best chops to this thing. Very simple premise. You know, it is to a certain degree kind of bare bones. And, you know, by the, I'd say, beginning of the third act, you kind of can see where things are going and how it's going to wrap up, but you want it and you can't wait for that payoff. And
Hmm.
just emotional, so richly emotional. And, you know, there's some good violence in it. It's not excessively gory, but just enough to get the point across that you don't be messing with lions in the bush, baby.
Yeah.
There's also some really beautiful moments early on with some of the animals. The animals, they're all CG in it, um, but it works. And again, the actors really brought it out, made it believable. And again, the filmmaking and cinematography are quite good throughout the movie. So every frame, I would say, is worth a watch. I didn't, you know, I was in the movie theater, but I didn't get that instinct or that sense to want to check my phone or anything like that. Which,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, Bullet Train, when we watched that, I was looking at my phone every now and again, especially the first 45 minutes. But
Yeah.
how about yourself, Maddie? The execution and storytelling, directing, all that jazz.
I thought it was flawlessly done. I love when a script circle backs around on itself. And
Oh,
if you see the movie, you'll know what we're talking about.
so
I
good.
loved how it, this is, they set up points, point A, B, C, and they get back around to it. And that's all you can really ask for. In a movie like this, I
Yeah.
mean, it shouldn't be overly complicated, you
Mm-hmm.
know. By the time it gets to the end, you kind of know where they are and what's going to happen, but you're like ready for it to happen. You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
yes, yes, I knew this was going to happen. Yeah, I thought all of that was, I thought it was really well done. I didn't think anything was like super. I watched a review earlier on. I'm not going to mention the review or anything, that said some of the characters acted kind of stupid. And Steph and I were talking before this, and I always kind of relate stupid moments to, unless it's like poorly written, is
Yeah.
how they're trying to get inside of someone's head in a situation like this, which you never know till you're in it. You can only
Right.
talk to people who've been in lion attacks or in animal attacks and kind of see how they reacted. But if you're a 12 to 16-year-old kid, you're not going to know what to do. So when she honks the horn in moments where you're like, that's dumb, it's like she
Right.
doesn't know what to do. They're from New York
Yeah.
City. What the fuck? Like, I wouldn't know what to do, you
Right.
know and I didn't think those moments were stupid at all. I thought everything was pretty well calculated for the most part. Yeah, I just thought it was great. Great execution. I really liked how there were really long takes. It almost seemed like it was really seamless at points to kind of make it
Yeah.
more jarring. There's a really great moment that's like right out of a horror movie where the lion just scratches across the. It's silent. It's so silent. You just see his paw scratch and make this noise, and they're not even aware. It's so good. Like there's some
Yeah.
really good slasher moments in this movie, which I
Yeah,
think is always great. When I mean, it's basically a horror movie, right? Like the
yeah,
lion is
exactly.
Michael Myers at this point. Just yeah, I thought it was great. It all came together for me. I don't. There was nothing that weak in it at all for me. I'm
Mm,
trying to like think of things that like made me upset about
right.
the storytelling, but I really can't think of anything because I do think you have to go into this movie having fun, and if there are those kind of moments where like, that was dumb, it's like, well, I mean, it's
Right.
it's a creature feature basically, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
It's
top
very
marks.
believable. Yeah, top marks. It's very believable throughout. For me, it's like a lot of movies I think of our generation are aiming to be as realistic as possible. But I
Yeah.
can't stress this enough. For movies, it's not so much about being realistic as it is about being believable.
Hmm.
The Marvel movies can attest to this kind of thing in a lot of ways, or the good comic book movies. Oh, the sound design in this film
Yeah.
was very rich and kind of right up in your ears. Anytime somebody was handling a gun, you could hear like the heaviness of the gun. The lion is constantly kind of has that like angry roar, purr kind of thing going on. The sounds
Yeah.
of crunching foliage and stuff, like so rich. The sound design was quite good, and I think a huge character unto itself in this film. So if you're a sound design nerd, this definitely has it for you.
Yeah.
Um, Next category, we'll talk about characters and performance of everybody in here. I think we touched upon this in general thoughts. Sharlto Copley, that's a good dude, man. You could just tell this guy is just a great guy and a great actor. Second,
Yeah.
I would follow this dude into the bush, not knowing anything about anything. Certainly, I felt safe with him, even
Yeah.
though he gets it. The lion's cunning, and they try and paint that it's pretty cunning and devious and different than any normal lion attacks that have been experienced in the bush. A big part of the premise is that there are poachers out poaching these lions and trying to sell them on the black market, which is an actual thing. This actually happens, and so it's
Hmm.
a revenge tale for this lion to be uh, to getting vengeance against poachers, but it's a lion. It doesn't discern against any poacher or non other human. I mean, so it just goes after whatever humans it can find. It seems like, and it creates a big problem, especially for somebody like Sharlto Copley's character, who's definitely out there trying to preserve these lions and trying to protect them specifically from those poachers. Later in the movie, we find out that he's actually like a poacher hunter himself that he kind of kept under wraps, which is also a
Hmm.
real thing. We see former military that get hired by organizations and governments to hunt poachers, specifically to hunt and kill actual poachers to keep them from killing animals and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and again, nuanced by the director, those details were held just above the subtext, to where
Hmm.
you get them, but it's not like right in your face where they're just like, here, this is what's going on, and this is more stuff that's going on. But yeah, Idris Alba, very good. He plays a lot of. He's kind of vulnerable through the movie too, because he plays a doctor. He's a tough guy. We know him as a tough guy, but he's
Hmm.
totally out of his element.
Yeah.
And before he's out of his element in the jungle, he's very much out of the element with his daughters and trying to repair a relationship with his young teenage daughters that he's neglected while being busy as a doctor, and their mother has died previously before the story begins, and so there's a lot of
Hmm.
tension there. Again, I think the little girls were so great, so wonderful. These two girls just seem like they're acting at the level of a studied and practiced 30-year-old or
Yeah.
something. They were just so good, and I think again a testament to the director. The poacher characters were just as they needed to be. They weren't overly shitty in the movie kind of sense where they're like,
Mhm.
you need just another over the top moment to not like them. Like once you get in your
Yeah.
head the concept that they're poachers and they're fucking up the ecosystem out here, you're kind of on board with like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
And then the lions themselves were really great. There's a pride of lions that Sharlto Copley's character is protecting, and you have these two brothers that he's raised, and so you get these nice human lion moments where he's like hugging and scratching them and stuff. it was really beautiful. And you
Yeah.
know, these CG lions were not terrible by any means. I think even probably close to the Revenant bear as
Yeah.
being the gold standard. Probably, I think they did a really good job focusing in on that, especially after what we've said about Prey and some of that CG in Prey.
Hmm.
These animals were very much a focus, and I think they did a really good job with them. How do you feel about?
Oh, the performances were amazing. I liked Sharlto, Indris, the two girls. They're great. I think you're right about the poachers. It's just enough to know that they're poachers. They're bad people, and you hope they get their just due.
Yeah.
You know, I think you said it all, man. Yeah, I loved it.
Sorry.
It's fine. I just was like, I don't think I was just while you were talking about Idris and stuff, and I don't know if I've seen him in a bad movie. He's such a like presence on
Yeah.
screen, and I feel like he fully commits 100% to every role he's in.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen all of his movies, so there might be one out there. People are like, oh, he's terrible in this. But everything I've seen him in, even if it's a bad movie, Idris is given 110%. Like he's
Totally.
doing his role and giving it. And I feel the same way about Sharlto, like in Neil Blomkamp movies that I've seen him in.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched the show Powers, but it had a couple of seasons,
I
so I
saw the
mean, it
first
must have been.
couple episodes.
So
Not bad.
I'm sure he was, I'm sure he was good in those. These two girls, like you said, are on a caliber that just sold it. Like, if you would have had them in that car and you would have had one weak actress in it, it would have. I think the movie still would have been fine, but you would have been like, that one kid was pretty terrible
Yeah.
though. But I did still enjoy the
Right.
movie. But I feel like they just had to like, they must have like went and hung out and like just had a couple of days just to like get to know each other and like
Yeah.
eat pizza,
Develop
watch
that.
movies, like just be a family for a little bit. And like even the
Yeah.
estranged, like they call him uncle, Copley's
Uncle
character.
Martin.
Yeah, and I still feel like maybe at the beginning there's some weirdness, but I think that would be true since this is the first time they've probably ever met him,
Mm-hmm.
like since they've been little kids. And I
Yeah.
like that. I like that weirdness of like when you haven't seen someone in a long time, there's like that weirdness that you're like, I know
Yeah.
you, but like, and I thought they played that really well. Like he's
Very
trying to catch
real.
up with them, but they're like adults now, and adults, I mean teenagers. We
Yeah.
all think we're older than we actually are, and I thought
Yeah.
those are some really cool moments of him getting to know these kids, and then they're thrust into this extreme situation where they have to care for this person and take care of them. And I just felt
Right.
like like I said when we were talking before, there's just a lot of family love, and I think
Yeah.
it holds this movie together.
Yeah. Speaking to that, the first time Idris and Sharlto Copley's characters come together, there's even that moment of like, friends who haven't seen each other for many
Yeah.
years. And he's like, hey, like, there's like not an awkwardness, but it's definitely, you can already tell, not knowing these characters from anything yet, you can already tell that there's been some distance between them, that there's been significant time between them, but, they
Hmm.
reach that common ground, and you get a sense of how good their friendship was built around Idris Alba's wife character, who you don't see in the film, who's died previously.
Oh, you
But
see her flashback.
you do see her in
Dream
some of
sequence.
these dream sequence flashbacks, which are really cool. I'm generally not a flashback guy, but these were really masterfully woven into this movie. And with the little girls, you don't really get to see the mother, but you get a good sense of who the mother is through these young girls, which is
Hmm.
just, again, great filmmaking through
Yeah.
and through.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that was really good. Special effects, stunts, gags. So before we talk about specifically like the CG of things, like
Yeah.
what was maybe your favorite kill in the movie?
Ooh. Man.
Most satisfying, I guess.
I mean,
It's a
my
tough one.
favorite moments are, I mean, I don't know if it's a kill, but my favorite, I mean, I love the ending. I think it's great when the two brother lions like take out the
Yeah.
renegade one. But my favorite moment was the one I mentioned about it scratching on the window pane, and then
Yeah.
that final moment before Charlot's character dies.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that whole sequence was really great. Like, he's just. I love that he pinned the lion up against the like front of the car, told the girls to get out, even though he knows he's
Right.
sacrificing. It's a very hectic moment. Like I said, I want to watch this movie again because I know I love it because I want to see it again. Uh, so
Yeah.
I really want to see some of these scenes over again because a lot of stuff's happening. It's fast. The kids are when the little girl stabs the lion in the butt with the trank dart. I thought it
Great.
was so cool, and just
Yeah.
like you were saying about the mother, what she's instilled in these children, and probably Idris has too, to not buckle under this
Yeah.
pressure. He's a doctor. He has to perform under stress. We don't really know what her mom did. She was a photographer and did wildlife photography, it seems like. So she might have been in intense situations. But I love how the girls aren't afraid. They're not screaming in the corner. These are strong girls in this movie. And they want to save their father and their uncle, and they're doing everything they can within their power. And I just thought it was such a smart thing, a little thing to add into the script. It's
Absolutely.
you know, everyone worked together because like Indris isn't he's not a he's not a badass. He's a doctor, and he can't shoot a gun to save his life. He ends up using, I feel like, the guns most of the time just to hit the lion with instead of actually use the purpose of the gun. I just thought it was a really smart moment to try to get the tension away, to get everyone back. Yeah, man, that's probably my favorite. That whole scene right there, and then the dark scene was probably my favorite, which aren't kills, but they were good scenes, and I loved them.
We'll modify the question. The most satisfying moment for me out of the whole movie, there was plenty of very satisfying moments in this movie, but one of the most satisfying is when the poachers come up on him and start giving him trouble, and Indris is trying to negotiate with them to get him out of there, to have him help him, but the tensions rise and rise and rise, and then just the lion jumping out of the bush and taking out that first poacher into the bush. And and they do a good job of using like flashlights and headlights of cars to kind of play on this horror of being out there, and just seeing that guy get disappeared real quick by this lion. I was like kind of standing in my seat like, yes, it's about to go down. This shit's about to happen. And then to what you were saying about Indris, like with the guns and everything, is like he can't shoot. He doesn't know how to shoot. He has a couple pretty clear shots of this lion, but if you don't know how to use a rifle, there's no telling where that bullet's going to go based on recoil and whatever, and aim or whatever. So it was good. They kind of had him play against his normal type in a lot of ways, especially having seen him in the Suicide Squad previously, where his whole thing was guns. It was really cool to see this big dude who we associate with a lot of strength being more vulnerable and actually being on par in terms of bravery and fear with his daughters. They were I think equally as terrified in moments, and not knowing what to do. And their main resource of reference of the bush was Sharlto Copley, and he's fastly fading because he had been just attacked by the lion. So good. The only noticeable, not that it wasn't noticeable with the lions being CG throughout, my suspension of disbelief, I think it was really well done for the record, but my suspension of disbelief was just so that, they were real lions to me. But, the only time I was really like, that's pretty CG, is when the alligators swam past Sharlto's legs after they've been disturbed by the lion or whatever, right before he gets attacked. And that was really good too, but it was just like, oh yeah, that's like some computer shit. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in terms of stunts and gags and kills and all that stuff, just like they gave you everything you needed, and really great sequence of Idris Elba under that truck trying to get that tranquilizer dart gun back, and the lion keep coming in and coming out. I felt like the emotions and the acting of this lion in particular were quite good. When you get kicked in the nose and stuff, I think of my dog or something anytime she gets a little something, or just the...
He doesn't kick his dog, people. Just saying.
No, I don't kick my dog. I mean, sometimes for emotional context, if I'm filming something. No, I'm just kidding. I never do that. But yeah, I thought, it seemed like they knew going in that it was going to be CG heavy in terms of these animals and how they were going to pull it off. So I think they did a good job. They hired great effects studios to help make that realistic, and certainly the animators and creature design people did their homework. Faux show.
My least favorite special effects moments of the CG are when Sharlto's like rubbing the lions, and it's like obviously a CG Sharlto. It's just hand, well, yeah, and I mean it's like his whole everything about him is, and when Indris does the final battle scene, it's like his shirt becomes like putty, because it's all CG in that first like scene. And I wish there would have been a little more of him actually in it and like figuring that out. But I feel we're just getting to the point where it's CG animals. We're not going to use real animals anymore. It may hurt them. It may do something to them. Yeah. This is just, I mean, people are going to complain about this movie because of the CG lions, and like, why couldn't they have used real lions in certain scenes? But it's unsafe. Right. They're wild animals. Leave them where they are. And kind of the same thing with like prey. It's what it's going to be. You can't have a predator lift a bear over his head, a real bear. It ain't going to happen. It's not. It's, you have to do this now, and we all got to get on board. But those are probably the weakest moments. But it didn't take me
Agreed.
out of the movie because Idris sold it, and everything leading up to those moments sold it. And you just have to realize, like I said, Sharlto Copley can't go play with real lions out in the wilderness.
Right.
However, I would have liked to see more practical effects with some of the closer shots of like a real lion head or something, like a faux lion head. I think would
Right.
have added to some of the realism of it.
Yeah.
But the CG
Somebody
still
being
was
like
really good. Yeah,
tossed around, and you
uh,
see like a practical. Yeah.
yeah. But I feel maybe they did shoot some of that, and it felt like maybe there were two different things, or in the case that the lion head looked really good practical, and they're like, well, we got to let's just do it all CG. That way, everyone gets this tone
Right.
going in. And I
Yeah.
think that was smart to do the Shartlo like rubbing the lions, and he CG and their CG, because it gets you ready for the final battle and what you're about
Yeah.
to like go on this journey with the lion. But that final scene is you can't have. I mean, it makes more sense to use a CG Idris Elba or enhanced
Yeah.
because he gets mauled to shit. I mean, you can't just treat an actor like that. You gotta, I mean, I guess Leo can do it in The Revenant, but uh,
Right. But yeah, Beast, man, definitely go check it out. I can't express anymore how much I think this is a great film, how much I loved it, how much of a great time at the theater it was. My best all-time experience in the theater, it was Jurassic Park, and this scratched that itch. There's a little Jurassic Park reference in this, and I think a couple
mm-hmm.
scenes even evoke some of that influence as well.
Yeah.
And just man versus beast, and even there's a moment where Sharlto Copley does his best to harm the rogue lion, and he,
Mm-hmm.
even knowing he has to harm it to try and deter it, even kill it, he says, "Sorry, boy." He
Yeah.
apologizes to it for everything, for the poachers, for humanity, for
Yeah. That's
everything.
so good. Yeah.
But also, he's aware of the law of the jungle too, and so something we have to respect as
Mm-hmm.
humans when we go out to places like this, because I'm sure people do dumb shit on safari all the time and and get in trouble. A lot of times these
Yeah.
big game hunters and things, they end up getting mauled, rightfully so. Justice is served in the savannah. I don't know, but yeah, I highly recommend this movie. I'm not sure I could see a sequel coming out of this or anything, but I do think people should watch it. Let's support Idris. Let's support Sharlto Copley and these young girls in this film, because they all deserve to just have the best careers possible. What do you think?
I think this is the reason I go to the movies, man. I think this is why everyone should. You should support this film if you want films like this to keep existing and not go straight
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
Hulu on demand directly. I mean, maybe you like that. That's cool. I like seeing movies in the theater from time to time. Seeing this and then watching Prey several times, I feel like it was a missed
Yeah.
opportunity not to see Prey in the theaters. Maybe
True.
we'll get a limited run on
Christmas
that at some.
re-release.
Maybe we'll get a re-release. That would be sick. I would totally
That'd be
go
tight.
see it. But support this movie. It's good. It's great. It's what I like when I go see a movie. I don't know what else to say. If our opening remarks didn't make you want to go see it, or you've watched the spoiler review and you still don't want to go see it, well, thanks for watching this.
That's all good. I think we covered a lot of ground here. Trying to give you some nice digestible content here, folks. So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate if you stuck around with us this long in this episode and heard what we had to say about Beast. Do go and see it. Support this film's director as well. Make sure that name sticks in your head. I'm not gonna pull it up again because I'm gonna butcher it. But support this filmmaker, support these actors, support this film. So good. Thank you
Yeah.
again for joining us here at Synced. That is. Oh wait. That is Beast,
Saint.
baby. And you can catch us at Instagram at Synced Movies TV and engage with us in the comments on YouTube. Please, we would love to hear what you have to say about Beast. If you saw it, if you hated it, if you hated the CG, if you loved it, let us know. We would love to have this conversation with you. Otherwise, I think that's all I got. Come check us out. Do share these reviews, like and subscribe, and all that jazz. We love you for just being available to give us a couple views, and love you regardless. So that's it for me.
Bye.